Welcome to the Propreneur Podcast, where we help practice owners become better entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Dino Watt. And welcome once again, everybody, to the Propreneur Podcast. Excited to have you here and joining us again for another episode where we discuss the best practices possible inside of your practice. And today we have a very special guest that I got to meet recently at an event. And I thought, man, this would be a great topic and conversation to have, especially something that I actually am passionate about inside of the orthodontic offices. So once again, before we actually start, I just want to say thank you for sharing this podcast with your friends and colleagues. I was recently at an event where I had a good amount of people come up to me and just thank me for having this podcast out there and telling me that they heard this episode and they've been doing this thing from this one episode. And that just really means a lot to me. So I really appreciate it. We're over our 100 and I think 10th episode mark. And that's always fun to hear that it's actually making a difference for people. So with that being said, let's get going with our today's podcast. Today, I have a very special guest from Greyfinch, which is a software that we're going to talk a lot about. And his name is Jake Gulick, who is someone, like I said, I was just going around doing the rounds at an event recently where I see different people and see what technology is out there. Although I don't personally invest in any other technology, I love to be able to be a resource for my doctors when they're looking for something new or different, or that can help them or shortcut some of the processes that they're doing. And Jake and I had a really nice conversation about what they're up to at Greyfinch and how it, I think, will be a great game changer within the industry. So Jake, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited that you're on and that we were able to make this happen. I know between yours and mine schedule, it's been kind of crazy lately, but I really, really appreciate it. Before we get into Greyfinch and what you all do there, let's talk about your story. So give us a little bit of your background, how you got here when doing what you're doing.
Yeah, so I started my career in dental and orthodontics actually at Televox, which, has since I think changed names and, not sure what's going on with them anymore. But, I was there for quite a while. And, when I was there, I realized, I was like, man, I need to get out of this because this is what practice management software should be doing, and I felt like that's the direction they were going to go, a lot of the things that they were kind of doing. And so I had an opportunity to actually join Cloud9 Ortho as employee, I think number 2, we're really early on, we were installing this third customer when I first came on board with them. And so, yeah, we're very early days of Cloud9. And, that was great. I learned a lot, obviously. And it was the first, truly web-based practice management software out there. So they were really, pioneers in that sense. But I ended up leaving there after about 4.5, 5 years to get Greyfinch started and to help with that. And, really what I was trying to do was really try to look and see, like, myself personally, what do I think that this industry needs in terms of, for technology and for practice management, because I just didn't feel like that there was a lot of solutions out there really delivering on those things, that we were getting asked about all the time, online scheduling, all these different things. And so I left and helped start Greyfinch up and have been here ever since then. And so that's really how I got here. And, it's been a lot of hard work to get to where we're at today, but we're very excited. We recently, really last January, so January of 2020, right before COVID, we were ready to add, new customers besides our beta testers that we had, using Greyfinch. Before we went to market, we really wanted to make sure that the software is different. It wasn't just another web-based practice management software out there, because we know how hard it is. I know how hard it is for people to want to switch their practice management softwares and that disruption. So we really have to make sure they had a reason for that. Yep. So we waited until some people maybe say too long, but that's okay. We were happy with it, and we were ready to go to market last year. And then of course COVID hit, so that was fun. But surprisingly did better than we thought we were going to do. Because no one knew who we were, right? And all the meetings were canceled and everything. So that's been a challenge. And that's obviously how we got to meet, was at a meeting recently. Right. And so grateful to have those back in place so that we can start helping spread the word out.
So how did you get involved in the orthodontic space and at the beginning? Like, was this something that you were kind of going towards? Did you fall into it? How did that come about?
Yeah. It's not a very exciting story, unfortunately, but really I was, my first job out of school was selling like printing and marketing type stuff, basically B2B. So I was working with customers that way. And I knew that that wasn't really my passion. I'm really more into technology and that aspect of things.
Yeah.
And so I started, but myself, I wasn't in the dental and orthodontic space at that time, but the company I was actually working for was very heavy in
Oh,
the medical, dental, ortho space. So I kind of could see that aspect of it and was like, that's where I want to be. I want to be on that side of it in that area. And so I started specifically looking and applying for positions that, were in that space and technology. And that's how I stumbled across Televox. They had actually recently been acquired and were on a big hiring spree. So I was fortunate enough to get hired on there and get my feet wet. Yeah. And, it's one of those industries. I feel like it's a great industry, and once you get in it, it's really hard to leave. For a lot of different reasons. But that's how I jumped into this space, and Televox was kind of my first step into it. And since then, I've never wanted to leave.
wow, that's awesome. So with this whole kind of evolution of your career, seeing what's happening in the technology side of things, especially when it comes to practice management softwares, what drew you to Greyfinch that was unique and different in your mind?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I was wrong about that I thought back in the day was that all these practice management softwares would be building, great patient hubs, letting patient, allowing them to do like, schedule online, all these different things. And no one really did that. And among other things as well. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get out and leave Televox, because I thought all these practice management softwares would start doing all these things. So that's kind of how I got there. And then when I got how I ended up over here was I actually met somebody that was looking to, start a practice management software, an orthodontic practice management software. It was a group that had been doing a lot of back office services for orthodontic office, general dental, and pedo offices. And they realized that there wasn't a lot of great choices out there from the practice management space to manage things from the business perspective or the patient perspective. They were fine clinically, but a lot of them weren't taking into account automation and marketing and follow up and all those types of things that that they should be. And so they wanted to start their own. And so I was approached by them and basically was like, our visions kind of aligned for what we thought the vision of practice management software should be in the next 5 to 10 years.
Such an important thing, right? When you have two visions that align with what you think is needed in the world of whatever the world is that you're working in this case, orthodontics, versus what people actually want, right? And so to be able to align those things is really important. And I personally come from the online marketing space. So when I got into this industry, one of my challenges was seeing almost kind of what you were talking about earlier. There wasn't a whole bunch of campaign building going on. There wasn't a really great usage of how do you just set it and forget it on a few of these email marketing or processes that you're going to be doing. And it always baffled me when I would go and say, okay, well, what software allows you to set up an entire campaign and just send it out? And they're like, oh no, yeah, we can send them out. Their medical records, they can fill that out. We send them I'm like, no. Like if somebody calls in your office just to find out what hours you're open or whatever, no matter who it is, can't you put them into some sort of campaign where they're automatically for the next X amount of months getting information from you? Or better yet, kids that are in your OBS program or your kids program who aren't ready for treatment yet, but you want to make sure that they say yes later on. How are you giving them automated things to make you top of mind, as opposed to sending them a birthday card every year, right? Say, hey, we're thinking of you because it's your birthday, as opposed to, no, we're giving you information every single month. So that to me was something that I felt was missing. And although I've had people say, oh, no, ours can do that, I don't see a lot of that actually happening. So was that kind of the same thing going on with your thought process too?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why we're developing kind of the same thing, the feature sets that we're doing and the path that we're going down. I always like to say there's kind of a method to our madness on the way that we develop our software. And you kind of have to have some certain building blocks in place before you can do, maybe you want to get to Z, but you need X and Y first, right? So, the first thing that we did was build our appointment widget, which can be embedded directly into a clinic's website, or it could be a light box if the design doesn't work for them. But ultimately, it's the same purpose. And what it is, it allows your new patient patients to schedule 24/7, 365. We're the first ones that had that available, and it goes directly in your practice management software. There's nothing you have to do to set up, intermediately or anything like that. It's going to use your schedule templates and directly plug those patients in there. We've seen a 60% increase on average of new patient exams scheduled for our clinics when using that appointment widget. And the cool thing about that, 55% of those are coming after hours when clinics are closed, right? So if you got, mom looking at those at night and she's between two different orthodontic offices, right? And one you can schedule right now, the other one you have to fill out a form and, fingers crossed, you maybe get a call back or something the next day. Which one are you going to pick? You're going to schedule, you're going to pick the one that you can schedule right now. So that was one of the first things we did that is really it honestly pays for Greyfinch, over and over again for our customers from the ROI that they get out of it.
So did you say that can integrate into any other software?
It integrates any website. Yep. So any clinic website. That's right. So it's proprietary to Greyfinch.
Okay, so it integrates to the website, but they need the Greyfinch practice management software in order to have it connect to their schedule.
That's right. That's correct. Yep. And so then the next thing we did was made it so they could fill out all their health history stuff electronically, which we kind of take a different approach to that than a lot of the other legacy systems, meaning that we've built APIs for everything inside of our software. And so when someone puts their date of birth in, it automatically puts it in their chart. When someone marks that they have a heart condition, it automatically creates a medical alert in their chart for them and marks it. Nice. So you don't have to take that data at the end and then actually input it into their chart. It does it all automatically for you as that patient fills it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the goal is to make that new patient experience, really good, just super seamless for them. And so then if they don't fill out their health history stuff ahead of time, right, they come into the clinic, you can text them a link and they can fill it out on their own device. So all of our stuff is bring your own device. No need for iPads in the clinic anymore. No need to charge them, deal with all that kind of stuff, right? And so then you have that new patient, they come in the door, to your point, Dino, they may be ready for treatment, they may not be, right? And so what our clinics are doing is they're introducing our patient hub to those new patients when they come in to try to get them to help sell that case. Not only can we provide great straight teeth, we're also really tech, savvy office. We provide two-way texting, HIPAA compliant. We do HIPAA compliant secure messaging now with you as well. We have this great patient hub where you can schedule, reschedule, make your payments, update your auto draft information, print your receipts, get a special FSA, HSA receipt, all the types of things that patients want to do, on their own. They can now have that capability to do that through our patient hub. Wow. And then to your point, maybe they start, maybe they don't, right? They want to go home and think about it. So this is where that next step comes into play. And so, well, first off, we have reputation management also built in, right? So that patient leaves your office, you can set up in our system to automatically text message them after specific appointments. So you control this as the clinic, and ask them to rate you, how likely are they to refer your friends and family on a scale 1 to 10, right? Net promoter score. So very well known in the marketing world. So we just leverage that. And then based on their answer, it's going to prompt them to leave you a review. If they don't rate you high enough, it'll just ask for feedback. So then you can address that and either address it with the patient or the staff, that's appropriate. So now you're getting reviews and you have reputation management built in, which is so important as well. As you would probably say in the marketing space, having those reviews is huge. And so, but then now they don't start, right? So right now we're actually literally in the process. We have a customer that can do it now. There's some ways to do it. They say we have a CRM built into Greyfinch, but it's really for some of our larger customers, they're able to pull that data and use our system to send out those, emails and text messages and all those kind of things automatically. So we have the functionality in the back end already built. By the end of the year, we'll have the UI on the front end of it though. So any of our customers can go in and set those up. And so then those patients that came in, they didn't schedule, no-show patients. And the cool part about Dino is they're going to get a link in that. They just click on the link and they get a calendar to schedule their appointment. So they don't have to even log into their patient hub to do it. So it's, you got to make it easy for them, right? So that way you can keep following up. And then, once they're in treatment, their credit card declines, they're going to get text messages and emails automatically, having them update their credit card information as well too. So really trying to get to that point where we have a full-fledged automated CRM, inside of Greyfinch. We're not quite there yet, in full disclosure, but by the end of the first quarter of next year, because that's what we're working on right now.
That's awesome. So what did you see, or maybe didn't see, and maybe you kind of answered this in your last answer, but what did you see that wasn't in other softwares that were out there that you felt like Greyfinch could solve the problem?
Yeah, I don't think the other softwares really care about, and it's maybe that they don't care, but they haven't put a focus on the patient experience. That is a big part of Greyfinch. And I've even had doctors tell me that when they call and, talk to me about Greyfinch, they say, we really like your guys' philosophy that it's not just for the practice, it's also for your patients. No one's really taken that and done that and think about it in that way. We're in the process of turning all of our stuff into actual iOS and Android apps too. So patients will have all their data at their fingertips that way and push notifications and secure messaging and all that kind of stuff as well. But, the patient experience, when you think about an orthodontic clinic, right? The age that they're treating, the patient age, that doesn't change much. Maybe you get some adult patients, right? But then you also have those kids in that age range, right? Those parents of those kids are the same age as they were 10 years ago, roughly, that are bringing in those kids. Well, those parents grew up with smartphones, needing everything. 10 years ago, there were smartphones out there. They were doing everything on their smartphone, and they grew up that way, and that's what they want. And so they want that on demand. They want that personal touch. They want to be able to interact with the clinic and do those types of things. And so those are the people you're now starting to see in the clinic. Well, you better have that technology, or they potentially could go somewhere that doesn't have that technology.
Yeah. Convenience and time.
That's right.
Convenience and time are the two things that if you can give that back to people, they will be endeared to you. And that's really crucial. So no, I think that's great. So when you guys are implementing Greyfinch, one of the biggest challenges I see with a lot of people is, oh my gosh, we got to integrate a new software, put in a new software. Obviously, it's ideal if somebody's, a startup, right? And you're up there and this is the first software they've ever done. But you've got pushback, a little concern from the doctor. You've got pushback from the team members have got to learn something new. How do you guys make that easy for them?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I learned a lot over my years at Cloud9 on how, software conversions and those types of things. I started, I was training, at the very beginning. And so I've been involved from the very beginning of those processes to, the sales and the after support. That's right. So I got to soak up a lot of knowledge and take a lot of what I've learned and implement it into Greyfinch and, kind of the things that maybe I saw that there could be improvements on, right? So one of the first things that we do, you're right, a software conversion, if someone tells you that it's like easy, they're lying. Now we try to make it easy, right? As easy as we can, but it's, it still is a learning curve. And, you're going to have the staff that some of them are going to be really excited about it. And some of them are going to be resistant to change. And that's just the world we live in, right? So I always try to make sure that the clinic is excited about the change and show, even if the doctor's the only one that saw it, I tell them, I want to talk to your staff. We need to show your staff and get them pumped about it, because I assure you, this is your conversion is going to go so much more smoother if we can get them pumped about it. So what we do is obviously we do a lot of that, but then traditionally a lot of systems, you don't hear much from them besides maybe pulling data and stuff. And then they do your conversion, they come in and you do a lot of setup and those types of things during training, clean up and all those. Yeah. That's right. With Greyfinch, we do all that stuff ahead of time. So we get a prelim pull from your data, usually, a month or two before we're going to do the final conversion, depending on your schedule and our schedule. And then we're going to go through and this is a great opportunity for you to clean up your appointment types, your status, your treatment statuses. You go into some clinics and they got like 55 treatment statuses. And it's like, that's not the purpose of treatment statuses. The treatment statuses for CRM, and you got to shrink that down because that's your funnel, right? So you don't need that many treatment statuses. There's other ways, but they have to do it that way because a lot of these softwares are super limited on how they can do things. With Greyfinch, we have many other ways to support. We converted one time. I literally think they had 60 treatment statuses. We took them down to about 10, so we do all that and clean all that stuff up ahead of time and get everything ready to go. And then when we're on site doing your training, we're really, focused that first day. We only do one day with no patients. So we're really there with your patients on that Monday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, you have patients. We find that works the best because you learn so much better with patients and actually using it.
Experiential.
That's right. And, a lot of, some other systems out there, again, in my past experience that wasn't done that way. It was done differently. I don't know how they do it now, but we really tried this and it works very, very well for our customers. And by the time our trainer leaves on Thursday morning, that office is, usually doing really, really well. But if not, if they need help, we're here to support them that next day. Many ways: phone, email, chat, and we have a huge support center on the web that they can go to. And, we have help articles, all that good stuff for them.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because that's one of the challenges that I know I see with doctors, of how like uh, proactive you're going to be versus I have to, always be on you. And how easy is it to get a hold of you? Am I going through, waiting for you to call back? I have an emergency. I can't figure this out. How easy is it going to be for me to get a hold of you? Versus, not versus, and including the proactivity of, are you checking in? Are you making sure? And I know there's a balance to that, right? Because you've got a lot of clients to serve. But sometimes I feel, from what I talk to doctors about, is that there's a sense of almost abandonment. It's like, okay, we set you up, we trained you, good luck. And if you have any questions, call our helpline, which is going to take 24 hours to get to somebody, right? So how do you guys combat that? Because that's a big issue in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think the mediums that people can get a hold of us is a big thing. We're going to be releasing text message too, so you can text us if you need to as well for support. We leverage a support software that helps us manage all that stuff. We also have, if you sent us an email with a question, how do I post a payment? Let's just pretend like that's what you sent. Our support system has a way, it reads that email, and if it thinks it finds a help article, it automatically responds with, hey, would this work for you? And so potentially we actually see a pretty, high successful rate on that, especially with new people, because we know those questions you want to ask. And so if you don't go look it up and you send us an email, we're linking you right to what the support person would have sent you anyways, and it's just instant, basically.
Right
you get a
there.
response back. That's right. So that's been really, really crucial and helpful, is for especially new customers. But yeah, existing customers, we send out, we have actually a new initiative now. I was visiting, and this is where sometimes I feel like, you get too much in your own lane and you don't see what everybody else is doing out there. Right.
Yep.
And that is so crucial to do that. And so here in Little Rock, there's a software company that I have a friend who, runs their HR, department. They call it the people department or whatever. So software companies got to have, different and cool names these days. And so head of people. And so he invited me over to the new building. And we were sitting there chatting and just, kind of catching up. And, he made a comment to me that, they do things that it's not always the most efficient way, but they feel like it's the right way to do it for their customers. And I feel like us as businesses, we get, especially software that we're trying to write things, be automated and efficient for our customers. Even we get in that mindset too, because we want to do things as fast as possible and efficient. So his example, and it is really kind of hit me. And he said, what about when you guys release a new feature? What do you do? And I said, well, we, write up an email and send it out to all of our customers. And he goes, what's your adoption to those new features? And I said, well, it's decent, but it could be better, especially for some of the smaller things, that people don't know about. And they just read those, because we get those release notes, you skim through them. I do it personally, even for other softwares that we get, right?
Absolutely.
So we're actually launching a new initiative at the first of this year, and maybe sooner than that if we can get all of our ducks in a row. We're in the process of hiring quite a few new people right now due to our growth. But the new initiative is going to be that we're going to be reaching out to all of our customers, making sure that they're actually utilizing those new features and getting them set up and helping them with it. If they need training, scheduling that training. We'll also be doing, webinars weekly as well about that and different topics, how to generate new patients in your clinic and those types of things. And so we want to be a resource and a partner for these clinics. We don't want to just be the practice management software. With all the things that we're doing, we truly can. Greyfinch can help grow your practice. Not many other practice management softwares can say that, with what they have in their feature sets. You have to use 5 different solutions to do what we're doing. Right. And so we need to be those, those experts and help them. And quite frankly, it's just been a capacity, for us, but we think it's really important to do this. And that kind of dawned on me in talking with them. It's like, that's a great point. You do it because it's efficient, but it doesn't mean it's the right way to do it and the best thing for your customers. So we're going to change the way that we do that. And it was really kind of eye-opening to me to hear that.
So if you were a feature chart, those charts where they have like, this product or this level, you get this amount of things, about this level, you're getting all these other things here. If you were a feature chart, or were to talk about your feature chart, what are some of the biggest features? We talked about the scheduling thing, which I think is huge. What are some of the main features that you would say, this is why you would want to look into us?
Yeah, for sure. Well, keep in mind with Greyfinch too, we don't do it where you have different levels. You get everything with Greyfinch, and we did it that way. All of it at once. And we did it that way because people have many times over and over again told me they hate all these add-ons because like, well, I think it's going to cost this, and then I got to check this box and this box,
That's
and all
right.
of a sudden I'm like, I'm paying all this
The
money. I'm like, yeah,
redundancies of this and this and this. I got to fill in
that's
this
right.
here. Oh yeah, totally.
That's right. So we didn't do it that way. We just did it where it's all inclusive. And so some of the biggest features that we're hearing about from our customers. I mean, honestly, the HIPAA compliant two-way texting has been huge. We're the only ones that I'm aware of that has truly HIPAA compliant. There wasn't an option to do HIPAA compliant text messaging until last year, until the end of December of 2019 was the very first person that ever had that certified, the backend provider. So up until then you couldn't do it, and so we released it last year. So that has been huge. Quite frankly, it's been a lot bigger than we anticipated, and our SMS bill is a lot higher than we anticipated. But that's okay. That means people are using it and seeing value in it. And part of that was COVID, with how they were communicating and dealing with check-ins and all those kind of things with patients. So that's been a huge thing. We also built telehealth into our software, so you can do video calls with patients as well right through Greyfinch. No need to install anything for you or the patient. And that's been really huge for our customers that are trying to do more and more remote treatments, right? You have these companies out there like Smile Direct Club, and there's Candid and Bites and all these other, direct to consumers that's what they pitch, right? Well, there's no reason an orthodontist that has a brick and mortar shop can't do the same thing, except for the technology might be missing for them to do it, to make it easy to integrate with their existing schedule, right? Well, with Greyfinch, you can do it. We have it all built into our software. So, that's been a really big thing, and it's been fun to watch that use grow, since we released it. And we honestly released it earlier than we anticipated. We went to our customers when COVID hit and everyone had to shut down and said, what can we do to help y'all? And they said, telehealth, please, telehealth. So we spun that up. I always joke, I think I worked more in those like 3 to 4 weeks when all the orthodontic offices in the country were closed than I, trying to help get that up and get that rolled out. So that's been a big thing for us. The reputation management, because it helps clinics get reviews as well, has also been huge. And then we just released this new feature that we also released HIPAA compliant secure messaging too. So you can send your letters and images to your referring doctors, all secure and HIPAA compliant. So you don't have to use a third party for that. And then we just released this other new feature that the feedback's been pretty fun. I don't know, there is definitely an ROI on it from a terms of time savings and costs from printing and stuff, but we basically built a Docusign functionality directly into our software for contracts. So a patient can be sitting in front of you, you present finances, you agree, you can text them or email them the contract, they get it instantly, they click on the link, open it up, and they can sign it all electronically, hit submit, and it comes right back into Greyfinch automatically. They can also do it at home, right? So the patient's at home and calls in and says, I'm ready to get started. Sweet, we'll send you your contract, so you don't have to worry about your paperwork when you get done, get here. And they just do it all from home or wherever they're at. So the feedback from the patients, and this is where there's definitely a time saving, right? Printing off your contract, like, having it signed, scanning it back in, they don't have to do any of that. But also the patient experience, again, that we talk about. I have gotten quotes from our clinics from the patients saying, this is one of the coolest things ever, and it's because no one else is doing it in the dental orthodontic space. There might be some medical offices out there. I still get packets of paper every time I go into a medical clinic. It drives me crazy.
Totally, me too. I was just talking about that.
Yeah, it just makes your clinic seem really cutting edge, right? And that's so big when you're starting a new patient, and they're going to tell their friends about it if they think it's that cool. I know it seems silly, but I've done that before. Walk back into your office and say, hey, just as the doctor, they had this. It was really cool.
Yep. With your calendar, one of the things that I like too is that if there's any offices out there, many people who have listened to the show know I'm a big proponent of the virtual side of things. How I think being able to offer virtual appointments is going to be huge for your practice. For those that have already embraced it, they already seen the huge major benefits of that. But having a calendar on your website where people can make an appointment anytime, and can they choose if they want a virtual or an in-person appointment?
Absolutely, they can. Yep.
That's cool.
If the clinic has it turned on, they can choose either or.
That is really, really cool. I'm a big fan of that, and we'll probably be talking more about that in the future. That is amazing. Well, man, I think that Jake, I think this is a really awesome opportunity, and hopefully people will see the ability that this can bring to their office and the benefits that it can bring to their office as well. I think that's great. That's really, really cool.
Well, appreciate that. It's been pretty fun to watch even some of our customers take it and do their own thing, right? For example, we had one that with the appointment widget they set up they spent $5,000 on a Google ad campaign, right? Well, with our appointment widget, what we can do is we can actually send data back to Google Tag Managers. So, and marketing companies will know how to do all this and, make this work. But essentially what happens is when that new patient schedules, we're shooting that information back into Google Tag Manager, their patient ID. So now with our data warehouse that we have, you can actually connect the two and you can literally see that patient from start to finish and where they came from and start really tracking your patients in a way that has never been able to be done before.
Wow,
and so,
that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's been fun watching them and hearing their stories, and using it in ways that I didn't even think about, that we can then share with our customers and, let them know about it, right? So then they can do it and replicate it the same way and have the same. I mean, they started like 40 or 50 patients from that one ad campaign because it all directed to that appointment widget and they could see it and they followed them all the way through all the way through when they actually started, and they can keep following them all the way through treatment too, right? So if they're bad payers, you know not to run that ad campaign again if they were all bad payers. So
that's right.
It's pretty cool.
Wow, that's really neat. I think the benefit of technology and what they're going to be able to do start integration wise is, and have been doing, I should say, but especially in our industry, is really going to change the game quite a bit.
Yep, I agree with that.
Well, thank you so much, Jake, for sharing all this great information with us and what Greyfinch is up to. We've come to the point of our show where we ask our 6 questions that we ask everybody. They're rapid fire questions with rapid fire answers. Are you ready to play?
All right. What do I win? No, just kidding.
The admiration of everybody listening. That's what you win.
Perfect.
All right. Number 1 question is, what's the most expensive thing private practice owners are missing in their practice, according to you?
I would say the ability for them to properly communicate with their patients, like on an ongoing basis, in a way that they're keeping that communication with that patient.
Absolutely. What's a book that you think every private practice owner should read?
I'm a big Elon Musk fan and what Tesla's been doing and what they've done. And I think if you read his biography that's come out, it was probably about 5 years ago or so, but it was a very motivational and eye-opening just to hear about how he's really come over a lot of the negativity, you can't do this, you can't do that, and all that kind of stuff. And it's really good motivating. It's like, don't let those things get in your way. And if you have a vision for your practice and you have a vision for what you want to accomplish, find the right people and move forward with it. Don't let those distractions get in your way and don't let people tell you can't do it.
I love it. That's great. Speaking of books, in my book, The Practice RX, I focus on team culture and team performance as the foundation of business growth. What do you see as the biggest challenge that private practice owners are facing when it comes to their teams and their office culture?
Yeah, I think they don't put enough emphasis on it, maybe, and not everyone is that case, but, I've been in hundreds of orthodontic clinics, and it always bothers me when I see teams talking about other employees or the doctor behind their back in the break room and all those kind of things. And so, but then on the flip side, I go into clinics where it's like the complete opposite, right? And I think the biggest difference is the doctors seem to really engage their employees, care, and not try to just be their boss all the time. Of course, that's important, but really bring that family atmosphere into that clinic. They work together so close every single day. It's so important that you build that kind of a culture and find the right people. Don't be afraid to let someone go. That's one thing that I think that doctors also like, or just not them, but just business owners in general. It's not just, orthodontics this is pertaining to, you got to make sure you get the right people. And if they're not working out, let them go and find the right people. Because once you do, you probably say in your book, it makes the world a difference and your life's going to be so much better.
Right. Yeah, yes. No, totally. It is. Absolutely. Well, let's make sure, question number 4 is always making sure, how can people reach out to you and connect with you if they wanted to ask you more questions around Greyfinch?
Yeah, so if they go to our website, greyfinch.com, greyfinch.com, we have a way to obviously submit a form on there. You can call us, the number's on there as well, or you can schedule a time to speak with me as well, or to one of our sales associates as well. So there's ways to do that. We make it easy for our, just like we try to make it easy for your patients to schedule, we try to make it easier for people that want to talk to us or do business with us. Very easy to schedule a time with us too, so you can do that online. And those are the best ways to reach out. Of course, Facebook, if you want to, you're on Facebook page, send us a message, all those mediums. Obviously, being a technology company, we monitor those, and we'll talk to you any which way makes sense for you.
That's awesome. Greyfinch.com. That's great. Okay. What's the best advice that you've ever received in life or in business?
Oh, that's tough. I think the best thing that I ever received personally was, in the past, I've been struggling, you're at a career and you're doing something and, things go bad, or, you have a couple bad days or a couple weeks and, you just want to quit. And so, there's a new opportunity that may be presented to you. That doesn't always mean that's the right opportunity. You need to make sure that you're saying goodbye to something, but you're also very excited about what you're saying hello to, meaning that don't just take a new position or a new job just to take it because you're unhappy with your current position and just to get out of it, because likely you're going to end up in the same spot in that role. So make sure, and that's why every single one of my career moves has been, it's bittersweet to say goodbye, but I've never been, as excited as I am about taking on that new role and that new position, when I leave what I've currently, and that's been huge for me. To follow that principle.
It's a very valid principle, and it's very true. Matter of fact, my wife had just sent me a little study that was done around how people who leave their jobs because they're dissatisfied actually end up being dissatisfied at the next job too, if they haven't figured it out for themselves, of not expecting the job to make them happy, but being happy in their job. So that's right. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
Last and final question is, what's the best resource or tool that every practice owner should be using to grow their practice right now?
There's probably a lot of really good answers to that. I do think that leveraging, I'm not a big social media person on it, but I think that leveraging your peers and whether that's Facebook groups, whether that's going to meetings, and really asking a lot of questions about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and being open to hearing how other successful, practices are doing things. May seem obvious, but I feel like, and it's not just, not just orthodontists, business owners in general. Sometimes you get in that one-way mindset and you don't take a look at what's going on around you. And so leveraging your relationships with people outside of it, outside of your bubble, even, make yourself be a little bit more uncomfortable and ask those questions, because that's going to help you grow, which will help you grow your clinic too.
Love it. So true. Man, Jake, you've been full of great information, and thank you for sharing us. Although you were here talking about Greyfinch, you gave us all a lot of great ideas of how we can utilize technology to help our practices run better. And I really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on too, and looking forward to catching up with you again at the next meeting we run into each other at.
Absolutely. Me too. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here on another episode of the Propreneur Podcast. Again, thank you for sharing this podcast with your friends and colleagues. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and even TikTok now. But our goal here is always to bring you as many best practices as possible to help you better run your practice. And of course, our goal is to always help you be more proactive, productive, and profitable in all areas of your life and business. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much again for listening to the Propreneur Podcast. We really appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you do so. Also, if you feel like you might be a good fit for our podcast as a guest, or know somebody who you think would be, go ahead and email us at dino@dinowatt.com. Again, thanks for support. We'll see you on the next episode.